Thank you. All right. As I said, I am Sharita Smith, one of the Women for Berger co-chairs, and on behalf of the committee, it is my pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to you all. Over the past few weeks, we have been hard at work planning for today's event, and it has been an honor to work with such strong, dynamic women. Join me in giving the Women for Berger co-chairs a round of applause. Thanks to each of you for your service. I also want to thank our vendors, the Met and the Elegant Piece Photography, and a special thanks to the entire Berger for Mayor Steering Committee for all of their support and dedication to seeing Women for Berger come to fruition. We are honored to have Mayor Whaley and Judy Cowan here with us, both our esteemed leaders that join with us in our support of Dave. But none of this would be possible without each and every one of you. Thank you all for answering the call and agreeing to stand with Dave in support of his re-election. We are excited to announce that over 100 women from every ward and every walk of life in the Lima community have put their names on the line as a show of their support and commitment to keep Lima moving forward. Together, we are sending a clear message that as Dave continues to fight for Lima, we have his back. We are Women for Berger. As a woman for Berger, I have had the pleasure to work right beside Dave every day over the last 10 months as his chief of staff. And I will tell you all that Dave has assembled a phenomenal team that has women in leadership positions across every area of city government, including department heads, supervisors, sergeants, lieutenants, and appointees to city boards and commissions. As a woman member of Dave's team, I am respected, I am valued, I have not just a seat, but also a voice at the table. And Dave makes sure that every citizen is respected, that they are valued, and that they have a seat, a voice, and a plate at the table as well, as he leads Lima to what is now stated by USA Today as one of the most desirable cities for millennials. And so on yesterday, I cast my vote for Dave Berger as mayor of Lima. Prepare yourselves to be inspired and excited to cast that same vote and help Dave keep Lima moving forward. Our next speaker, Judy Cowan, is currently the president and CEO of the Ohio Energy and Advanced Manufacturing Center in Lima, Ohio. Before that, Judy was on the staff of 3 Ohio governors, George Voinovich, Bob Taft, and Ted Strickland, where she was responsible for the economic development activities for West Central Ohio. Previously, she had served as the vice president of the Bank of Leipzig and mayor of the village of Leipzig and president of the Putnam County CIC. She is formerly the board chair for the Lima-Allen County Chamber of Commerce and vice president of Spirion Corporation, where she remains a member of the board of directors. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Judy Cowan.
I don't know about you, but I think it's time to retire. Lord almighty. I've had the pleasure of knowing Mayor Berger for over 20 years, which I find very hard to believe. The last 20 years went so fast for me. I don't know about you. But I met him working for the state, where it was my job to bring state resources to his projects and projects all over the region. So when a community had a project and they said to the state, how can you help us? It was my job to help. So I got to know Mayor Berger pretty well through those 20 years. My respect for him has never wavered and probably just grown year after year, which is why I'm not allowed to tell my political affiliation. As a non-Democrat, I still think he is obviously the only person for this job. When I started, timing is everything, they say, you know. Airfoil had just closed a few years before. Sunstrand was in the process of closing, and the tank plant was shutting, or closing down a lot of jobs. So things were really great. And then in the middle of that, or right after that, that is when the refinery decided that they were going to shutter their facility. And we all know the refinery story. We all say how Dave saved the refinery jobs. But what I don't think people know is it isn't like a company said, we're for sale and we need you to help us find a buyer or we're going to have to close. BP said, we don't want a buyer, we want to close. And Mayor Berger did not accept that. He said, we're going to find a buyer that's going to offer them a deal they can't refuse. So, it's hard enough to deal with a company that just is looking for a buyer. But a company, a global company the size of BP and their depth of wealth and everything, says, we want to shut our doors and we don't want community, we don't want you to find a buyer. And Mayor Berger said, we need those jobs. And think what that campus would look like today if we didn't have those jobs. It isn't just a refinery, it's all the other companies out there too. So he said, I'm going to find a buyer. And because of his years of experience and all the resources and the people and the connections and that he's met over the years, he was able to do that. And that's what it means when you've been in your job for a while and you know what you're doing. To me, experience. People who say, let's give somebody else a chance at this job, they don't value the experience. If you're going to get your car fixed, you're going to go to the place where the guy's had 20 years experience and you trust him. You're going to go to the doctor that's had 25 years of experience and you trust him. When these companies put ads in the paper, they say, we have over 100 years of experience, because that's a value that they bring. That's what we need. We've got a great experienced mayor. Why would we want to trade that for somebody who doesn't know what they're doing? I read the paper. One of the people running for council said one of his platform issues was term limits for the mayor. I didn't notice him saying term limits for the council, which was the seat he's running for. But, think about that. Okay, you want to be mayor, we're going to give you 8 years and that's it. So what if you went to Ford and applied for a job and said, I want a job. And they said, great, we're going to get you in here, we're going to train you, we're going to value you, and in 8 years we're going to kick you out the door because your experience doesn't mean anything. That makes no sense. If you have somebody willing to take a job as public and live in the glass house like Dave and Linda do, and get all the phone calls in the middle of the night about the potholes and the dogs barking and things like that, why wouldn't you want to keep that person? Anyway, I guess my message and my hope is that every one of us goes out and says to the first person who says, we ought to give somebody else a chance, we ought to say, just a minute, I have a different opinion, and I think we need to value the experience we have and keep him in the mayor's seat. That's all I got.
Thank you so much, Judy. I have the pleasure to introduce our guest tonight, Dayton Mayor Nan Whaley. Nanette Whaley is the City of Dayton's second female mayor and has been serving in that role since 2014. In 2005, she was actually the youngest woman elected on Dayton City Commission. She served on the Montgomery County Board of Elections and was deputy to the Montgomery County Auditor. Nan is married and has called Dayton her home since 2001. She's both a flyer and a raider, as she received her undergraduate degree in chemistry from the University of Dayton and her master's degree in public administration from Wright State University, where she was also an adjunct professor. Nan co-founded the Ohio Mayors Alliance in order to connect and collaborate with mayors, including our mayor, Dave Berger, to solve issues around the state. Nan demonstrates a keen ability to assemble and work alongside other leaders, and at the same time, she really cares about expanding programs for the unfortunate, creating new jobs, and coming up with ways to solve the opioid epidemic. Nan was actually the first mayor in Ohio to declare a state of emergency in the city due to this epidemic. She believes in holding the drug companies accountable for their contributions to the heroin crisis. Nan is also passionate about moving her city of Dayton forward in the realms of public service, including educational opportunities, workforce development, and especially in the manufacturing industries. Since becoming mayor, Dayton's unemployment rate declined from 9.3% to 5.7%. So I'd say she was getting the job done. She also encourages Ohio graduates to stay local in our state upon graduation as a way to improve our economy. She has a vision of making Ohio a state of lifelong learners by encouraging education from cradle to career and beyond. And in 2014, she launched a citywide initiative to increase learning opportunities for all of Dayton's children and build a stronger workforce for the future. And as a result, every single 4-year-old in Dayton now has access to high-quality pre-K education. Nan wants to rebuild our state community by community. She believes Ohio's best days are ahead of us, and for these reasons is running for Governor of Ohio. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to the Honorable Mayor of Dayton, Ohio, Nanette Whaley.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's great to see such awesome women with such good taste in elected officials. It's such a pleasure. When Dave asked me to come to this event, I was chomping at the bit. I have to tell you, Dave is one of my mentors. When I was on the city commission, he always stayed in touch with me. And when I was first elected, he was someone that first called me to help me along the track of being mayor. So to get to help out one of your mentors in election is a great honor, and certainly you are very lucky to have him here in Lima. So I want to tell you a story. The first couple weeks when I was elected in 2014, I went to DC to go to the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and I went to see Senator Sherrod Brown, of course, the best senator in the country. And I'm sitting there, and there's a Politico magazine as I'm waiting in his office, and it had Vice President Joe Biden on the front of it. And you know, our former Vice President, he always has a way with words, and so on the back they had Bidenisms and things that Joe had said over the period. And the very first one was this. And now keep in mind, I just was elected mayor like 14 days before I see this. And it said, I've never had an interest in being mayor because that's a real job. You've got to produce. That's why I ran for Senate for 35 years. Now, I love that because, while you know it's only the way that Vice President Biden can say it, it's really the truth. When you're the mayor, you don't have the luxury of looking away saying it's not my problem. Now, we know the State House can do that all day long, but when you're the mayor, you've got to get the job done. And what's even more amazing to me in my 4th year as mayor is that you all have a mayor that has been doing this day in and day out on behalf of Lima citizens for 28 years, getting the job done. Now, not only does he provide great leadership in the western part of the state and for your city, and to see you all here supporting him just shows what a terrific campaign he's running and what a terrific operation you all are doing on his behalf. But he's also a leader for mayors across the state and nation. And so I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So when I was elected, Mayor Berger called me, and we've always talked about how the state isn't really taking care of its cities and local communities, and how local communities are not getting their fair share from the state. Typically, they like to take our money, pat themselves on the back for balancing their budget and telling us to figure out the rest, right? So Mayor Berger calls me and says, we need to organize the mayors of the state. Nan, go get this done. Now he said, and to Mayor Berger's point, he said, I'll be at every meeting. I will support you in this, but you just got here, so it's your turn to do this work. Now I have to tell you, if I don't like to let the dean of the mayors down, and so I took that very, very seriously. And last year we put together what we call the Ohio Mayors Alliance of the top 30 cities in Ohio. And now Lima is number 30. And the reason why is I could never put together a group to talk about issues that are affecting communities without Mayor Berger at the table. Just could not happen. Folks, his leadership on this table has been irreplaceable for cities like Cleveland, cities like Columbus, all the way to cities like Elyria and Lorraine, because he has seen it happen and he knows the best action to make things happen, not only for Lima, but for cities across the state, including Dayton. The second place that Mayor Berger is so active is not just on the state level, but nationally with the U.S. Conference of Mayors. The work that he does for the conference, particularly around water issues and issues that are affecting your city, and sharing that story about how the U.S. EPA has not treated cities very fairly, the work that he's done to advocate for water rights for cities has been impressive. And I'll just tell you why. When we're at the table with national mayors, like the mayor of New York City, or the mayor of LA, or the mayor of Atlanta, and we talk about water issues, the first question asked is, well, what does Mayor Berger say? That's the kind of leadership. That's the kind of leadership that Lima is providing not only for its community, but for its state and for its country. So when you all are working, as I hope you are every single night, going door to door, talking to your friends, your church members, your neighbors, about why this race is so important, I hope you recognize you're doing it not only for your city, but you're doing it for the state of Ohio and for the United States cities as well. So it's a great honor to be here. I want to thank Mayor Berger for raising me all right. I still got some raising to do, so I count on you all to make sure that he's elected this November. So thank you.
Hi, I think everybody knows who I am. If you don't, I am David's wife. It's wonderful to see all of you women and men here today supporting my husband David. Thank you so much. I want to tell you, my first impression of David was not a very good one. I perceived him to be somewhat arrogant and very persistent. He would not stop calling me. And if it weren't for my dearly departed mother saying, "Why don't you just give him a chance?" I may have never known what a wonderful man he really is. And in fact, he is not arrogant at all. He's very kind, he's generous, he's extremely intelligent, loyal, and a hard-working person. And I'm very grateful for David. Through his persistence, he helped me see that I am a strong woman, that I am determined and confident, just like all of you women in this room. I made some life decisions, and he strongly supported me in them. I decided to stay home to raise 4 children, to attend college, to obtain a degree in physical therapy, which took some time, and to work flexible hours to enable me to stay home with our daughter and then my father in their last years of life. Yes, David is persistent, and in a very good way. He's persistent in fighting for Lima and has kept the refinery open and prospering, and the tank plant has been preserved and sustained as the nation's only remaining battle tank factory. His vision for the future has seen economic growth with the best economy in 40 years. Yeah. He has been instrumental in downtown Lima revitalization, workforce development, removal of blight and the rebuilding of neighborhoods, community-oriented policing with a 30% reduction in violent crime. And he's is working diligently every day to remedy the drug and addiction problems in our city. You know, there is truth in the old adage, persistence pays off. Just look at Lima. David is a devoted and loving husband, father, grandfather, and family man. He's dedicated to the city of Lima, a city that he loves. I've watched him daily for the last 28 years, working very long hours and giving 100% of himself. He never stops and he never will. So join me as I support the love of my life, the father of my children, and my mayor, the man who will keep Lima moving forward, David Berger.
That's very embarrassing. No other way to say that. But thank you, dear, for your remarks. Mayor Cowan. Thank you, Judy. Judy has been an advocate for Lima, for Northwest Ohio, in a hugely creative and important way. And just as she landed major industries, we're talking about steel mill, we're talking about major pet production facilities in Leipzig. I mean, her work there was truly unprecedented for a village that size. And George Voinovich recognized the talent at the time and stole her away from the village. And she relocated here and has been just a terrific partner for our community for a very long time. And she is a Republican. Okay? I mean, that's the point, right? Right. That's the point. She's a Republican. How many Republicans are in the room? There's a few. There's a few. We love you too. But I've worked with Republicans because there aren't too many of us Democrats in elected positions, right? So I have, in fact, reached across those lines and many lines in order to pull people together to get things done. Mayor Whaley, thank you. Although maybe that's the way Nan heard me when I called her. What I really said was, Nan, look, you are the mayor of a major city in Ohio. For the mayor of Lima to pick up the phone and call Cleveland's Mayor Jackson isn't going to get the same level of attention that your call will. And so then what did she do? She not only accepted the challenge, she literally went and personally visited 22 of us. She drove all across the state, knocked on their doors, and ultimately what came out of that is an Ohio Mayor's Alliance, which truly is making a difference, and I think will, because the state legislature and the governors have in fact eroded the ability of cities to take care of themselves. There's been an attack on home rule. There's been an attack on our ability to maintain our tax base, and it's all been shifting to decision makers in Columbus who get to decide how to spend our tax money. And so that is being challenged. We just, yesterday, the city of Lima made the choice to join the newest lawsuit challenging constitutionality of the redefinition of net profits tax. If that ends up, what the state legislature did and what the governor wanted was to take the net profits tax, which is the income tax paid by companies, and have it paid not to us directly, but to Columbus, where then they, in order to ship it back to us, would take 1%. Okay? But more importantly, they then said we could not audit local companies. So there's no accountability, and they weren't going to add staff. So the whole thing was a shift to do away with net profits taxes. Now for us, it's 10% of our income tax. So our income tax is $16 million. That means ultimately they'd be taking away $1.6 million. Well, that's, you know, that's 50 cops or other city employees. So, I mean, this is about the ability for cities to be able to take care of themselves. And we're going to fight to maintain that ability. And Nan has really been on the front line as well on the opioid issue. She has taken it seriously because Dayton and Montgomery County are truly at the epicenter of this in Ohio. And they're being aggressive, and they're trying to get to real solutions for folks. So thank you, Nan, for coming and spending some time with us here today. Now, how many, I just need to ask, is anybody here not 30 years of age or less? Okay. All right. There's actually fewer of you than Republicans. So, why do I ask? It's because you have no political memory of what the depths of the problems that our community has faced. And I want to take just a minute, and it kind of picks up on some of what Judy Cowan had said, and just recite for you, remind those of us that lived through it, the depths of the issues that we've confronted. Before I came to Lima in 1977, Lima had already lost companies like Superior Coaches, Lima Locomotive Works, Neon Products, there were Westinghouse Small Motors was just leaving. And then I came in '77, and we proceeded to also have losses associated with defense downsizing, which were the tank plant went from 4,000 to 400. Airfoil Textron was basically moved south, 1,800 jobs. And Westinghouse Electric Systems Division, also a couple thousand jobs gone. We lost 20,000 jobs. 20,000 good-paying jobs with benefits. 20,000 jobs that maintain middle-class lifestyles in our community. Now, the pain of that was real, and it didn't just go away. It's history that truly had consequences that we still are living with, in the form of derelict buildings, in the form of other kinds of issues that are left behind. And then in addition to that, we had the continuing attacks on other industries that we successfully defended over the next 10 to 15 years. The BP in November 1996 announced that they were discarding the bids for the purchase of the refinery. They had bids, and they said, no, we're not going to accept any of them. We're going to shut the plant down in August of '98, and we're going to then tear it down. And we're going to replace it with a pipeline coming in from the Gulf of Mexico to bring refined fuel products into Ohio. That was in '96. And then we had 3 attempts to close down the tank plant. And we've survived all of those, fortunately. And then we had engines lose their life cycle at the Lima engine plant. And yet we were able to renew that and bring more product in. All of that was difficult work. All of that was important work where we built coalitions to be able to maintain those industrial facilities. That didn't just happen. We also lost, for example, the Lima Correctional Institution, another huge presence on the north end of town. And you know what? There's an interesting story about that. That happened under a Republican governor when my opponent was, as he is now, the chairman of the Republican Party. And there was a Republican legislator in the state at that time, now in the Congress, Mr. Jordan, who had gotten under the skin of the Republican governor. And so they decided to punish us by closing that facility. And where was Mr. Cheney in the middle of all that? Where was he? What did he do to try to reverse that? He was on the sidelines. By his own words this spring when he was doing ads, he said, "For years I've been sitting on the sidelines watching my community deteriorate." That is not leadership. The only time he has appeared in our community apparently interested in things going on here is this year. This year has been a photo bomb opportunity for him. He's been all over town, okay? He shows up at all these places, basically declaring that he's now interested in our issues. He's not interested. He has been on the sidelines, and he has been enabling those who have been eroding our community in Florida. This campaign is not about my opponent. This campaign is truly about the next 4 years. It's about what we're going to continue to do together in order to continue the revitalization of our community. Right now, as my wife indicated, we are experiencing the best economy in over 40 years. It's a fact. We have 1,500 jobs on a continuous basis that are available and have had for the last 2 years. So the big job in front of us now is not creating jobs, it's actually connecting people to those jobs. It's making sure that our workforce understands the opportunities that are there, that they get the training that's necessary, and that they get plugged into those opportunities. We did an event a couple weeks ago actually, with the Black Ministerial Alliance, which was exactly that. We had representatives of the building trades and the industrial unions who have apprenticeships, and we were there to talk with the black ministers and others in their congregations about the fact that every year there are 300 openings available in apprenticeships. Apprenticeships are a terrific way, as a young adult, male or female, you basically get paid to go to school and to develop a skill, and you don't take on any debt. Now, what could be better than that? To end up then with a career, with a journeyman's card, whether as an electrician or a carpenter or a CNC operator, and ultimately have a skill where you can raise a family comfortably. That's what we have to do in the next 4 years, is connect our community to those jobs, because the jobs are here now. And the opportunity, I think, is actually blossoming and happening. I was in a meeting recently with plant manager of a major employer here in town, and she indicated that they had just hired 30 employees. And she asked that incoming class of new employees where they were from. And half of them said they were from Lima. That they had moved away, they had heard about the jobs, and they came home. That's what this next 4 years is about. It's about creating that sense of vibrancy in our community, communicating the opportunities that are here, and making sure that our families and our friends who may have left, may have gone to school somewhere else, understand that there's opportunities right here that they need to come back and explore and ultimately take advantage of. That's the opportunity of the next 4 years, which is recreating and deepening the sense of roots that we know will make a difference here. And then to top it all off, who could have predicted that USA Today would have declared us one of the top places in the country for millennials? So if we're not paying attention to it, somebody else is. National media finally paying attention to Lima, the place where life is more abundant. I really want to thank all of you for your time today. I want to thank the volunteers who put this together this evening. You're a great looking group of people. It's a great event. I thank my campaign co-chairs that have really been slogging it out with me, and all the other volunteers that are really going. I mean, we've had teams of 20, 25 people every weekend going door to door. We've had people call on phones since August, 1st of August, making phone calls. We are reaching out as aggressively as possible to make connections with voters, to make certain that, one, they understand what the issues are, and two, that we get them to the polls on Election Day. Actually, they can go to the polls today. And that's really what we want. We want people going to vote early every day between now and November 7th. So, my thanks to all of you. Thank you all for being here.
Sullivan, and it's been my honor and privilege to serve as co-chair in Mayor Berger's re-election campaign. And one of the many reasons I support him is his history of making sure that women have a voice in his campaign as well as leadership in Lima. And for him, it's not political correctness. He truly values women's ideas and contributions. Women of all backgrounds and political parties are included. Executives, managers, political activists, public school champions, as well as stay-at-home moms such as myself have been given a seat and voice at his table. Dave is someone who understands that every woman truly has something of value to offer. It's amazing that so many of you have come this afternoon, but just coming here showing your support is not enough. There is more to do. Be sure to vote. As he mentioned, early voting has already begun, and we are having a Meet Us at the Met Women for Berger early voting event Wednesday, November 1st from 6 to 8. So cast your vote for Dave and then come to the Met to meet with other supporters. There are also many ways to get involved with the campaign. One way is it's very easy, just like the Berger for Mayor Facebook page, and then share the videos and information that is shared there and share it with your friends. In the social media, this day and age with all the social media, don't underestimate the power of person-to-person conversation. Invite a friend out for drinks or dessert and share with them why you support Dave. You may think everyone's already got their minds made up about the election, but some people don't yet. And so your reasoning for why you are voting for him could be a deciding factor for them. Please consider volunteering your time for the campaign. Giving financially, although very much appreciated, is not the only way that you can help. Sign up to walk on a Saturday, handing out campaign literature, or volunteer to make phone calls at the phone bank. October 19th from 6:30 to 8 is a Women for Berger Phone Bank Day at campaign headquarters. Feel free to come and bring a snack or dessert to share while we work together to make sure Dave is reelected. We often take for granted our right to go to the voting booth, but it has been less than 100 years that we've had that right. On October 21st, 1914, 1,500 women marched right through this very square on their way to Memorial Hall in a women's suffrage parade. They continued to work for 6 more long years before they saw the fruit of their labor. We owe it to those who fought so hard for our right to vote to be good stewards of that privilege and to make sure that all women exercise their right to have their voice be heard. And I think if those women were looking on today, they would be proud of this gathering and excited to support a candidate who has always supported women. On behalf of the Women for Berger campaign, thank you for coming, thank you for your support, and now you know how you can help. And so there are only a few weeks left, so please stop by the campaign table over there on your way out to do your part to keep Lima moving forward. Thank you. And there are also yard signs. Make sure you grab a yard sign. So, thank you.